Welcome to an episode of the You're Still Here podcast. I was hoping to try an episode like this a little bit early, but let me tell you something. Even if you know what you're doing out there, you're going to run into some technical difficulties along the way. I've come to this spot for two separate tapings of the podcast and ran into issues both times. So hopefully this time, third time's a charm. This is so awful to say, but for whatever reason, I recorded the podcast and it just didn't record. So I literally came here, had everything set up, recorded the podcast, and then it just didn't record, which is why there were literally no clips, no videos, nothing these last couple weeks. But here I am. I have some things that are I'm going to essentially spend potentially this whole episode going off on Ticketmaster. And this is not going to be like some new thing. We all know that there's a whole list of absurd charges affiliated with places just like Ticketmaster. But we're going to say, you see me with a tan right now. It's because I went out on a boat for my brother's 21st birthday, and it was a great time. We went from Tampa to this place called Beer Can Island that's only accessible by boat. It was a great time. 21, it's all kind of counting down from there. They always tell you, like, but 25, you get to rent those cars. Like, that's going to be, I guess it's something, but how many people are really circling that on the calendar? The one thing that I did tell him is, the one thing you still have to look forward to is when you're 21, there's not a damn person in hell who's going to take anything you have to say seriously. It's just the way it is. You can be a genius at your craft, but when a 21-year-old walks in, the 21-year-old trying to sell you life insurance, trying to sell you a house, you're never buying it off them. You're never buying it off them because you know what they're going to do this weekend. You know what they're going to do. If you are a young person and you are selling some sort of insurance, just do the best you can to look and act old while you're showing houses or whatnot. You gotta lie. You gotta lie. And just before, actually, my brother was telling me he was going through his drawer and he saw some old birthday cards. He's like, he just kind of looked at me. He's like, what do you do when you have old birthday cards? And we've all been in this predicament. We've all been in that predicament where you have birthday cards, you have any sort of card, you have anything that somebody literally purchased for you. Now, granted, they didn't write a whole thing. Sometimes they do. They usually just put to Andy from whatever. But they bought you that card for your birthday. So after your birthday's over, it just feels weird just saying, like, all right, in the garbage. It's like you're throwing somebody's thoughts about you in the garbage. But then again, there is a certain statute of limitations that has to expire when it comes to those cards. Like, I understand you got me a card for my birthday. I am appreciative. But what, I just have a 2016 birthday card lingering around for how long? And I told him shelf life on the birthday cards. So I told him if he has any sort of 2020 birthday cards, now is a proper time to throw them out. And you don't just rip them up. You never rip up an old birthday card. You put them in something. You put them in a folder, or you put them in some 8 by 10 or 8.5 by 11 standard printer paper, fold them up, and then kindly replace them in the recyclables, because those birthday cards, they deserve a special exit. They deserve the recyclables exit. Don't just crumple them up and throw them in with your Chinese food from last night. Speaking of which, we watched Dude, Where's My Car the other night. I've explained this many times that I introduce older movies to my younger brother and their friends, knowing that they aren't allowed to experience actually funny movies. So we do what is known as the Benjamin Button style of movie and music consumption, where you keep going back a year. And I think we're right around 2001 or something like that. That's when Dude, Where's My Car was. And when they pull up to the fast food place, and then the woman goes, Chinese food, and then it's the whole, yeah. but that's what we watched the other night. It was his 21st birthday now. You get to go to all the bars you couldn't go to beforehand. And I know this is the top of the broadcast because, like, trust me, I need to convey that there is a positive side of me. So I want to try to start with the fun, happy, good times. That's me. I got a nice tan, went to Beer Can Island, had a great time for my brother's 21st birthday. And before we move on from the pleasant times, now's time to tell you a solid scam of the week. And this scam of the week has to do with my brother turning 21. And I'm not saying that I implored him to do this. I'm not saying that I would do this. All I'm saying, just like all other scams that I've told you, is it is a scam. And whether you want to use it or you want to implement facets of it, that's completely up to you. And this is the double ID scam. And this is when you potentially have two places you live, whether it's you're a student somewhere and you live, most of the school year, and then you go somewhere else, or, like when I lived in California. So what you do now, if you're turning 21, it just gives you a natural, easy way to do this. But you go to get the ID of the new state that you're living in. And when you do that, they take your current ID and they punch a hole in it. So what you do is you go directly to the DMV of the website. Now, remember, I'm not telling you to do this. This is actually, I don't know if the process of what I'm saying is illegal, but I think the ultimate result may be illegal. Contact your local lawyer. I can't be for certain. But so after they punch a hole in your ID, let's say you go from New York to Florida, like the 100,000 people before you since 2020, and let's say you go to the DMV, they're going to take your ID, they're going to punch a hole in it, because if there's a hole punched in an ID, it immediately renders it invalid. So you now have your Florida ID, and then when you go home, you just go to the New York DMV, forgot or lost ID, and they allow you to order, I forget if it's one or two, and then they force you to go back in person, but there are a certain amount that you can just order and they will send them to your house. So if there's any reason, whatever it may be, that you need the ID, like if you're a dual resident and you want an ID in both places because you feel like both of those places are home, you use the double ID scam. You go to get the new one, other state which you just got the hole punched in, and order the replacement. Now that actually will parlay into another scam, to jury duty. It's the jury duty scam. You know how you have those people who tell you, oh, if you don't want to go do jury duty, just tell them you're a racist. Like that work. Who would do that? Who would show up at the courthouse when it's time to do jury duty? Like, yeah, I'm a racist. I can't obviously do this. Something tells me it's not as simple as that. However, now that you've utilized the double ID scam in theory, not actuality, because it might be illegal, you now have the ability to get out of jury duty, because you could say, oh, well, I don't live there anymore. And they may ask you to provide a copy of your ID and a bill, which you obviously now have from both locations. It's the double ID scam, which allows you to utilize the jury duty avoidal scam. Yep. Neither of those scams have to do with one another, but one is almost like a prerequisite to the other. So yeah, the jury duty scam. I remember, I would assume in most states, I remember when I went to California, I actually had to take a written test for a second time, and then I handed in my New York ID, and then they gave me the California ID. I would imagine you don't have to take a road test again if you're just switching states, right? Because I'll never forget when I went to to take my road test. My older brother took me, and he was waiting in the car. It's kind of, you just get in this line, and it was the worst thing ever because you saw the people who were administering the road tests in front of you. Like, you saw, oh my God, that person looks super nice. That person looks super nice. So I remember there was 3 young women and then this one old guy who looked miserable with a long mustache. And my brother and I, we called him the Kaiser because he resembled an older version of Von Kaiser from Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. So we called this guy the Kaiser. As we see him 3 people down. Like, we don't know for certain who I'm going to get, but we're like, anyone but the Kaiser. Just don't give me the Kaiser, please. Who comes up to the car? The Kaiser. Walks right in. More or less made 0 mistakes. We pull up to the end of the road test. I go, yes. He looked at, what an awkward exchange that is. You and the road test guy, look, when you pull up to the end of it, that's almost like coming to the end of a date with a girl. Just that awkward energy where you look at, like I said, if they show you like a truth board, look this up. This is actually what happened. He just administrative place to situate some paperwork that the DMV didn't have situated. So a week later, a full week later, I hope I didn't just freeze there on YouTube, but a full week later, we go in there and the lady goes, oh yeah, you passed. I'm like, really? She's like, oh, they didn't tell you? I was like, no, I got a fucking Kaiser who didn't tell me. But I ended up passing, but in typical me fashion, like that, it's another credit refuser. That's what people are. They won't tell you the truth. They won't tell you when you're right. They won't admit when they're wrong. The guy didn't like that I had 0 mistakes. The Kaiser lives for mistakes. I committed none, so he resorted to, can't tell you what you got. It was the closest he had available to him for misery. I honestly feel like if I made a few mistakes and he passed me, he would have told me, but he would have said, you really as a driver need to work on how you signal to go to the next lane. But because I made no mistakes, he didn't have it in him to just say, what a great road test. So he said, can't tell you. Can't tell you because of administrative paperwork that needs to be completed. I got to try to remember what it was. It was too long ago, but it's classic me. Classic me. Isn't that the case with so many different places, by the way? Like I've mentioned, when you go into a restaurant and if somebody gives a place and food, not the desserts, not anything other than the random college kid who checked them in at the front, who they didn't like the attitude that was taken with them. Now this place has an awful Yelp review, maybe people not wanting to eat the food because some kid who's going to work there for 2 months was an asshole at the front. That's always awful. That's always was on the phone with customer service and they didn't give him a refund for something, or when people call to try to renegotiate their cable rates. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how when your 12 months are up on DirecTV and now all of a sudden your bill's tripled, you can call up and if you get on come on. Let's go. We still up there? Okay. I think we're okay now. I don't know. I still, it's hard for me to talk to you guys as I'm trying to navigate through the streams and check the stream health, because sometimes if it pinwheels for me, I have no clue if it's pinwheeling for you. I'll tell you one place that I've never dealt with a pinwheel, and it's at any sort of establishment that's implemented the iPad payment system. I'm sure any of you out there have grown familiar with the iPad payment system. Somebody opens up a place, somebody opens up a coffee shop, somebody opens up a little breakfast boutique corner place. They have that, swing it around. Just swing around. Right? And that's it. In and out, you pay for the coffee. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because they swing it around to you so that you then have to enter your tip. You can't just pay for it and it says thank you. Enter your tip for the person at the coffee place who the machine is right behind them. They turn, say thank you, hold a button, then hand me the coffee, and I go complete it at the station. Just before today, I paid for a coffee. They spun the iPad around expecting a tip, then just poured in the black part of the coffee, handed it to me, and then I go do the work that they just got tipped for. I add the kind of milk I want. I add the kind of sugar I want. By the way, I'm an awful lid. What's the word for when you place something on? I'm an awful lid securer. I'm awful with my lid sealing. You remember that episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where they order the soup from the Chinese place and it all comes out because the lid wasn't secured? So then Larry goes there and starts arguing with the guy, and then the guy says, I'll start using tape on the sides. Well, I'm awful at securing the lid of coffee cups. It's I don't know why. I go around and I follow, make sure it's on the track. I hear a pop, take 5 steps off, the whole thing's on the floor. I'm awful at it. Yet I just tipped the person who wouldn't do that for me, and now I'm looking at a spilled coffee. You know what? I wish and hope that I spill it again, so I can be, oh, sorry, happened again, because I'm just not good at putting lids on things because I don't work at a coffee place. If I did, I would know how to do it, but I don't, and it would be nice if somebody who I just tipped to give me a coffee secured the lid for me. But they didn't. No, they got the tip that I should have gotten for assembling the coffee. And by the way, this doesn't apply for anybody doing any sort of fancy schmancy stuff with the coffee. Like, I understand, you want to make a mocha, froca, this and that, and all the ratios. You got to make a good coffee. I understand. But when you order the standard coffee, I'm sorry, when that iPad gets flipped around, there should not be an option to tip. It's ludicrous. It's a third scam of the week. And it really makes me so angry because they use the guilt factor. Because they also know if somebody's meeting someone here for coffee, whether it's a friend, a coworker, especially somebody they're going to be on a date with, they know that person's hovering at the amount that they put in. So not only are they guilting you into a tip, because if they had good self-awareness, like if I was them, I would turn it around and I would actually walk away for a long time. I would walk away for 90 seconds and then it goes to the next screen, no receipt, and then you get the necessary 30 seconds to restart it from the main screen. Because, if it's within 15, they'll still see the total price lingering, so they'll know how much you tipped. If I worked at a coffee place and I knew that somebody just got something regular that doesn't deserve a tip, I'm walking all the way to the back to get the coffee, and then I'll walk all the way back once again. But I mean, it's a ludicrous concept. I'm trying to think of anything else, like any sort of job where you do the bare minimum, because pouring a coffee is the bare minimum. I'd argue that it's even easier than getting a plate and scooping a piece of pie from the bottom shelf, because it doesn't even require a single bend. But yeah, there should absolutely be no tipping, but like I said, they guilt you into it. And then especially, like I said, you go out with a date, now you have to tip an absurd amount. Coffee's $3.35. You have to go $1.65. You have to get it to be, you got to get it to that even number. I'm big with that, by the way. And that is my answer for these places. If they have the audacity to run the spinning iPad on me to guilt me into tipping them, I always just add the amount of change to bring my money to even. So if the coffee cost $3.62, then you're getting 38 cents. And it's going to $4, and I feel good about myself because I didn't hit the no tip button. And you can roll your eyes all you want, but I'll tell you this, if any person who walked in there tipped 80-something cents, you'd be happy by the end of the day. But not you. You're greedy. You'd rather have no, and then $5, opposed to everyone streamlining a constant 85 cents. And I don't know who you are, but you know who you are. All right? So that's person one. that really irked me. Now let's not, well, I guess company one, whoever designed that feature. But now the rest of this show, unless there's something I'm forgetting about, going to be spent on the biggest scumbag company that there is out there. And you're probably thinking, oh my God, what could this company be? I mean, the biggest scumbag company? Like what is it, the IRS or something? No, the IRS is way more honorable than the company I'm about to mention. It's called Ticketmaster. I'm sure you've heard of them, right? Ticketmaster. Ticketmaster got tickets from SeatGeek, which is a third-party app. So normally, you're just going to, it says virtual tickets. Okay, I don't have to pick them up. Virtual tickets, they'll be emailed to me, no problem. So I get emailed the tickets, and then it says, okay, you just have to sign into Ticketmaster, and then you'll have the tickets. Then I sign into Ticketmaster, and it says, you cannot proceed until you enter a third party, or I'm sorry, two-factor authentication, meaning a phone number. I go, okay, that really bothers me. I tried skipping and it wouldn't let me skip. And here's the part where I became irate. They didn't allow me to use any temporary phone numbers, any side phone numbers. That means they implemented the necessary technology to authenticate it was an actual established real phone number, not using a third-party access number. Now, granted, if I wasn't in a rush, you know me. I told you I'll take years out of my life to gain an inch on someone. I will run miles out of my way just to gain an inch on someone, but the game was in like 40 minutes. So I didn't have time for it. And they would not allow that. They would only allow authentic numbers. So I had no choice but to give them my phone number. And I was livid that they did this. They will not allow you. Ticketmaster will not allow you to have tickets to anything unless you have a valid, specific type of cell phone. Like a Google Voice, that does not suffice. An internet phone does not suffice. They demand that you have a cell phone. Just like I saw that Pete Buttigieg guy just say like, oh, don't worry about it, everyone. Just get an electric car. You don't have to worry about gas prices. I guess Pete Buttigieg is running Ticketmaster because he thinks everyone just has brand new iPhones. Now, yes, I do, and I'm complaining for a separate reason, but I refuse to believe law of averages that there isn't one poor person, no cell phone, that got $8 tickets to something because they could finally afford it, and then they needed to authenticate with a cell phone, and then they couldn't. Their tickets just got lost forever because this person didn't have a real cell phone. How are there no complaints for this? All right, everything, oh, they're restricting voter ID rights. Yeah, how about Ticketmaster buyer's rights? You need a cell phone to access your Ticketmaster tickets? And yes, don't worry, I tried on multiple devices. I tried on the web. They will not allow it unless you put a real active cell phone number that isn't using any sort of third-party apps. I can't speak for the other ones. I can't speak for New York Sports Club or Crunch or whatever the other popular ones are. Is it Planet Fitness? I don't know what the policies are for canceling with those gyms, but LA Fitness has a Fight Club policy. The only rule about LA Fitness, if you work there, is never talk about canceling LA Fitness. Anybody and everybody can sign you up for a brand new LA Fitness membership. You can pull someone off the side of the road. A different member can be a valid member online. Any one of the employees, some random person, the person refilling the water bottles, they can all sign you up for a lifelong LA Fitness membership. Go and try to find one person who can cancel your membership there. Every single person has the necessary credentials to sign you up. Zero of them will cancel your membership, and they'll say, well, I don't have the ability to do that. You have to come here when our manager's here. Oh, when's your manager here? Oh, every sixth Wednesday on the month from 12 to 12:15. That's the runaround that they try to give you. They go and have you chase these phantom managers that they don't exist. These managers don't exist. They have, like, for example, if I was like, oh, are you the manager I heard about? Like, no, that wasn't me. That's the other Joe. And then you find the other Joe, and they're like, no, William, he's the manager. And they have you chasing these phantom managers. And all of a sudden, like, we just got to get to the 15th. Let's hold him off to the 15th. Ching, ching. As soon as that card swipes again, got him again. I'm telling you. How's it going, James? The round up your tab for a charitable donation is the real scam of the week. Yes. Yes. Any of you people out there, and this is unfortunate that I'm not the one who just came up with this, my friend James here, but when they ask you, oh, do you want to donate that extra 18 cents, just round up to donate to Cars for Kids? Is that a real thing? Cars for Kids? What do kids need cars for? I just made that up. I think there was a Cars for Kids. I've never donated to those. I don't believe they're ever going to those actual causes. If you look into the history of those companies and how often the actual people who need the money get the money, it's like 93% goes to the employees and the executives within the company, and 7% goes to, I don't know, the kid who needs reconstructive, surgery on his knee. No, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. You want to know how I know this? Because when I went out for my brother's Cars for Kids boat with a bunch of 35-year-olds partying on it. I'm kidding on that front. No, but going back to Ticketmaster and LA Fitness. LA Fitness, I remember when I lived in LA, and that's pretty funny, like eating Boston Market and right in the middle of Boston. But I had to find this solo person, and we had to exchange 3 emails. Now, I'll remind you, anyone and everyone can sign you up for a lifelong member. You're a member for life. And so much to the point where if you try to pull something on them, and this is true, if you try to just cancel your card affiliated with them, they have the right to take it to collection agencies. So they can go get third-party people to force this gym money out of you, but you have no recourse to cancel your membership. It's a fucking scam beyond scams. And it's what Ticketmaster implemented by forcing you to have to add a cell phone, or you're not allowed to get your tickets. And I'm not bullshitting you. If you do not have a legitimate cell phone affiliated with your account, not allowed to go to an event. Oh, is your daughter's graduation? Somehow they only give those tickets through Ticketmaster? Well, looks like you're not going. And not to fucking mention, and I brought this up last week, it just so happens to resurface. Those 2 tickets to the Lightning game, I went to the Lightning Penguins game, $25 convenience charge. Now, the convenience for who? I spent 40 minutes trying to fucking get a cell phone to attach to the account. And then, when you do, $25 for a convenience fee. How is that legal? How do they not have to explain what that money goes to? So, Ticketmaster, everything about cancel culture. You want to know the best people who can avoid cancel culture? It's not Joe Rogan. Cancel them because you'll never find somebody. There's one guy who can cancel your membership. He shows up every 6th Wednesday for 15 minutes. I hate these places. I went to delete the Ticketmaster membership after they screwed. Like I tell you, I was livid. All of a sudden, I didn't even want to go to a hockey game anymore because I couldn't handle what had just happened, and I went to delete my account. And of course, they're not going to even come close to letting you do this on your phone. They know the majority of people are using Ticketmaster from their phone. I'm a big web guy because I know there's always more features. So I go to the web version of Ticketmaster. You think you can just cancel it, right? Just like, I know Facebook says you can delete your account, but at least they give you the option to deactivate and then also, like, quote unquote, permanently delete my ass. However, at least it says it. And at least it gives you some peace of mind. Go ahead. Try to delete your Ticketmaster account. See what happens. See what happens. You get taken to this screen that says you can fill out a form, like just a Google Doc, and then they'll consider deleting you, or you mail a hard letter to an address. You have to write a letter like it's 1755 to Ticketmaster and explain how you need your account deleted and your information removed. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I fucking wrote that letter, and I let Ticketmaster know how I felt. There's currently a letter, a handwritten letter en route to Ticketmaster with vulgarity included, explaining how they're running a whole fucking scam operation, and one day they are going to be taken out just like yellow cabs have via Uber. Your days of swiping our money and demanding we have cell phones are over, Ticketmaster. You motherfuckers. I opened up in a somewhat pleasant manner. I hope that this all worked all right, by the way. I don't have as much time. Have I made it to like 40-something minutes? I just wanted to hit, 40 or something like that. I have no clue. Doesn't. Let's see if I. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. There's another topic that I definitely didn't talk about. And this was. It's literally, I think, what I titled the episode. There's a movie out there called What's Your Number? And this is indicating how many people have you slept with. I guess that was kind of a saying. There was no you slept with, like, there's no like a laundry list or whatever. There wasn't a name for that amount of people. And then that movie came out. I think it was with Chris Evans and Anna Faris. It was called What's Your Number? Since then, the kids have come up with a term that's definitely way better than that. And it's you would ask somebody, what's your body count? That's the term for how many people have you slept with, how many people have you been with. I don't I don't think that has as much of a positive connotation as it could, because like, what's your body count? It insinuates unpleasant activities. There's a little bit of degradation, like, you've murdered them. What's your body count? So I was actually thinking, why don't we call it listing your credits, like IMDb? Like, list your credits. What have you been in? Oh, well, this is kind of like when I would meet with agents or managers or casting directors, and they wanted to know, in 2015 I was in Matilda. I was a good go of it. The following year I actually was in Carrie. A little too bloody for me, but I did it. I never turn down anything that's put in front of me. So yeah, I feel like, and then you could even similarly use that to explain ones that got away. Like, I just missed out on that one because, fill in the reason you didn't get said movie role. And with that IMDb, I saw on Twitter, for whatever reason, it suggested like, why don't you submit for verification? Because I guess if you have a certain amount of credits on IMDb, you're allowed to submit for verification. So I do have a good amount of IMDb credits. So I did that. I did that on their own suggestion, and then they declined me. That's nice. That's nice. Like, Andy, you potentially should submit for verification. So, that makes your opinions authentic if you have a verification, only to deny it. And then similarly on this is the funniest thing. I don't know how much spam that you guys deal with, how many bots when you're doing whatever it is that you do on social media, whether you're a scroller or you're a creator or a poster, but If you look at my last post, the one about minimalists on Instagram, there's just some one of these bot accounts, like as if I would see that and be like, oh, this has to be a real person. He liked 2 older videos, and then he commented. He comments, you can look at this right now. He goes, hey, man, we'll get you verified in under 2 hours. The verify guy? So, I mean, you got to click their name. Just like when someone cuts you off in traffic, you got to see who it is. I got to see who. An hour. Yeah, is it you and your 25 followers? So I just send you $200, and then what? That's how it works. You verify me and your long, great body of work with your 25 followers. I mean, if somebody like this just spent their time on something worthwhile, they would get the $200. But does that really work? Who do they do? And you know what's miserable? That I landed in the list of people he thought like, oh, this guy's dying for a verification. I mean, it would be pleasant. It would help perception. But that means I showed up on some list of people they deem would fall for a $200 for verification scam. That's a sad place to be on. Think about it. There's a whole marketing list. That's how this shit works. They collect all the information. There's me and buckets of people like me who are getting reached out to about verification. What a depressing thing that is to hear. And there's no better way to end any show than on a depressing note. I hope this worked out relatively all right. I mean, it says excellent connection. Who knows in this bunker? Always great when there's a loud machine in the back of a studio, by the way. That's obviously ideal. However, I'm not going to complain at all, especially when, I'm not around mine. This is more than I need. Thank you guys for joining. I know relatively quick, but as long as I watch this back later and it's normal, I'll try to prepare a more normal episode next week. And if you're thinking, like, what are you going back? Check the temperature. You want to be back in the regular setup? Check the temperature. When it's not miserable, that's when I'll be there. It's a very simple answer, people. But if you didn't watch, or if you missed the last 2 episodes because there was no video, I posted audio versions. Go check those out. Go listen to them. They're on all your streaming audio platforms, your Spotifys, your Apple TVs, you name it. Listen to those because there was some pretty funny parts on there, if you ask me. And as always, if you can, send the podcast along to anyone who may enjoy it. And yeah, I guess I will see you guys next week. Take it easy. Have a good one. And that's about it for me. See ya.